First up here, Tet McMillan, Arizona wide receiver, 6'4" and an eighth, 219 pounds. He had 10-inch hands. He's 21 years old. He'll be 22 in April, the very beginning of April. He didn't run anything at the combine, but there were some 40s that came out of his pro day this past week that ranged anywhere from 4.48 to 4.55. The 4.55s are the ones where I saw, people that tweet this kind of stuff was like, hey, I heard from multiple NFL sources that it's really the 4.55 is the right number.
Yeah, I saw Brugler said that.
Yeah, so the 4.55 is probably closer to what's correct.
Which is totally fine. Definitely for his size. It's
which I think passes the eyeball test for me as well when you watch it. So last year at Arizona in 12 games, he had 84 receptions, 1,319 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns on the year. That was on 130 targets. I have some other stuff. He only had 7 drops, so that was pretty good. I don't know. Yards after contact, 430. Yeah, yards after catch, sorry.
We'll kick things off with Tetairoa McMillan. Going forward, I'll just call him Tet McMillan.
Tetairoa, for me, is something that does not roll off my tongue when I see his name visually. It doesn't click in my brain, so Tetairoa always comes out something weird when I read it. But when you say it, I can say it back.
Tetairoa McMillan is his name. We'll call him Tet McMillan.
Yep.
He's a 6'4", 219-pound Polynesian hunk, right? He's out there. He's just torching defenses like a flamethrower at a luau.
Definitely how I would explain it, yeah.
So this dude was Arizona's highest-rated recruit ever. A 5-star, top 5 national wideout who actually flipped from Oregon to join. He really wanted to go play with his high school dudes, right? His quarterback, Noah Fafita, tight end.
Big mistake.
Keon Burnett, linebacker, Jacob Manu. So he's got some loyalty, right? And,
he does.
And when you watch his tape and you see McMillan, he really does remind me of like a Mike Evans, right? Like he's definitely does remind me of Drake London. He reminds me way more of a Mike Evans. I mean, he's a possession beast, right? With the size and ball skills just to dominate deep. He's a linear mover off the line. Once he gets rolling, that's where he really starts to eat things up. Again, one of my biggest flaws on him is him getting rolling, honestly. But I mean, once he does, he starts to eat up that turf like I'm at the buffet line, right? Yeah. Like it's just like gobble, 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 gobble.
It's his first couple steps, man.
Yeah. His hands are sticky.
Right. Big 10-inch hands. He can catch away from his frame all over the place.
Really good adjustment.
I mean, I think that is something you got to kind of.
He bails out his bad QB a ton, and like he adjusts his routes.
He's a high school
like a wizard.
The Fafita, like you know how you watch guys sometimes, and you're like, that guy just makes it look so easy. He is the complete opposite. Fafita makes it look so difficult.
Dude,
the quarterback.
Every throw looks so difficult.
It looks like he's closing his eyes and just eating it.
He like has to get his whole body. He's like, whoa. Okay, anyway, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, his catch radius is massive. I mean, this guy could snag a pass off of Joe Biden's teleprompter. You know what I mean? Like it's ridiculous. I mean,
I gave him a 10 on that.
His hand fighting is very, very good.
The one thing I will mention on his hands, I think he fell in love at some point with catching the ball with one hand, and there are times
he could have
made catches if he just brought the other hand with it instead of trying to make this fantastic one-handed. Dude, just use 2 hands, man. Like, come on, quit trying to make
easy on the mic over there.
Easy on what, Mike?
Like headbutted it.
Yeah, F this mic, dude. I'll headbutt it if it gets in my way again. I'm like Quinshon Junkins.
I'll do it again.
So, I mean, like he's what you want out of that big X receiver, right? Like I feel like he's got a really safe floor.
I would agree with that.
Like I feel like his floor is like a Cortland Sutton, right? Like someone like this past year's Cortland Sutton, and his ceiling's like Mike Evans, like that. Where he's not going to be like that high-end wide receiver 1, but like he's going to be a wide receiver 1 for 10 years straight, right? Because he's a young kid, big radius. But like, again, the rub is like him getting off the line, right? Him getting bogged down by press coverage like he's stuck in traffic.
Yep.
Like it's
metaphors today, man.
What was it? The Utah game. I saw him get pressed there, and that was one of his worst games. Six catches, 50 yards. And they were pressing
Utah presses a lot.
They were pressing him at the line.
We'll talk about that with Jalen Royals, too.
Mm-hmm. And it's something that he has to work out. So there's some flaws in. The first I came away, like when I got done watching all this tape, I was like, man, like a lot. Like I've been saying, because I've been hearing it and looking at like the highlights and stuff, like Tet McMillan, wide receiver 1, and he's gonna be the first pick. I was like, I was like, man, there's definitely like I've been hearing about Luther Burden. I know about Mecca, but like Travis Hunter as a receiver.
Yeah. There's room for someone.
There's
else to
room
take the
for
crown.
somebody to easily be the number one receiver in this class. Because after watching all the tape, like if you ask me today, like Rich, you have to guess is Tetairoa McMillan the number one running back and number one receiver in this class? I would say I hope not.
I will say,
but he's
could be.
But he's a very good fantasy receiver. You know what I mean? Like it's why I said like I'd for sure take those 4 running backs ahead of him easily.
And I agree with the Cortland Sutton thing, man, because I feel like that is kind of his floor, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like he could end up being this guy that just lives in wide receiver 2 purgatory.
Which is not bad for fantasy.
Which is not bad. You need those kind of guys, hopefully in your 3rd spot or maybe as your 4th wide receiver. But I think the upside for a Tet McMillan, to me, when I see him, I see what's his name from Ohio State? Michael Thomas is who
I thought it was a really good comp.
That's who I see, like a guy that can catch a slant and go. You know what I mean? Like, but he's got to be able to clean up the stuff the first couple steps and get off the line. So that's like the one drawback. If he can't figure that stuff out, I don't know what he is.
And that was my lowest score. I gave him a below average score on release. I did not like his releases at all. He did not vary them.
Yeah.
You would see him get like pushed to the sideline a bit if he took an outside release. So
it messes up the whole timing of everything in the NFL. Especially.
It does. And he was so good at contested catches that it didn't matter in college. That will matter at the NFL level. And so that is my number one chief concern. He got a good score for me, 77.15. It's a good score.
It's a really good score.
But if he ends up being my wide receiver 1, that will be the lowest wide receiver 1 score that I've given so far.
He got bad burst and bad releases for me. Those were like his 2.
The other thing that I thought was interesting is, I don't know if you guys went back to any of his 2023 tape or not. I went back to his 2023 game specifically because he matched up against Travis Hunter at Colorado.
Sure.
3 catches, 15 yards.
That's bad.
Against Travis Hunter. Now, he did get a touchdown in there.
Yeah.
But it was another thing there where I'm like, against really good corners, you saw it a little bit in Utah when they could press. If teams get kind of the memo that, hey, we get on this guy early, then we force him to have to make special plays, which he can at times. But that is my big concern. If he busts, it's going to be because he struggles getting off the line.
He can't get off the line and then stack a DB to get past him. So they have no reason to not do that. You know what I mean? Like if he could get off that jam and then get behind them with that first step quickness, he doesn't have the first step quickness.
Corners are getting taller.
Right.
It used to be all these corners were 5'9", 5'10", maybe 5'11". Now we're getting a lot of 6'1", 6'2" corners that can defend these bigger guys and these traditionally
go throw it up and
jump, the contested catch specialists. They can defend those guys a lot easier than they used to be able to. So that's the thing for me. Is he very special at catch radius, contested catch? Like he can do some of those things at a special level. That's not good enough anymore. Had this been 15 years ago, very different story. Yeah. But I think in today's NFL, he's going to have a little bit of a harder time than he would have had then.
And you're right. Historically, over like the last 15 years or so, players like that have more of a miss rate than they do a hit rate, unfortunately. Right. And that's what makes me really nervous about him. It's like, okay, I can't like.
I have a feeling I'm going to feel better about other guys, and they will be ahead of him.
Yeah, like
by
a guy
by the end of this whole
I feel like Luther Murden.
Maybe
Murden, like
it's a bad class.
It is a bad, or it's a bad class. Right?
But like I feel like
just the top.
Again, I know this sounds crazy but from watching the tape. I feel like a Buka is much safer.
He's definitely safer
than Tet McMillan. You know what I mean? Like that's what I feel like. So for me, like again,
he's technically sound. Emeka Buka.
Yeah. And we're talking.
He's got the Amon Ra in him where it's just like, I'm going to do everything right.
Yep. And there's nothing worse when we're sitting there talking about a class that's very deep at certain like tight end and running back positions of very value. The last thing you want to do is swing and miss and grab the guy who's just like a wide receiver 3. You don't want to end up with what's the guy who we loved a lot that went to Arizona?
You love N'Keal Harry.
Oh, N'Keal
No,
Harry.
not N'Keal Harry. He was like the wide receiver one for a while.
N'Keal Harry.
Oh my gosh.
Hakeem Butler?
Hakeem Butler. Yeah.
Oh,
like,
Iowa State.
Yeah.
But where did he get Hakeem get drafted? Who did he get
Cardinals.
drafted by? Cardinals. Yeah, that's just someone Arizona.
Oh, I was thinking Arizona
So, like,
University.
but-
Everyone thought
like-
you were talking about Arizona
But
University.
like, that's one thing. I don't want to
Or
end up
Arizona
with like
State, in my idea. In my-
exactly
in my-
right. I don't want to end up with Hakeem Butler.
Sure.
You know what I mean? The Doyle Green back. Like I don't want to.
Hakeem Butler couldn't catch really though, so yeah,
That's
it's
fair.
just, like,
He definitely has great ball skills, and that's the thing that bails him out.
Yes.
And that's why I'm not ready to say like he's not going to be good. I think he could be very good if he can clean up these releases.
I like him, by the way. Like,
Yes,
yeah, this is
right.
not like a dig on him at all. But like, again, there's, like you said, historically, like it makes me nervous.
And speaking of historically, to put him in the context of last year's draft, I mean, fifth, sixth best wide receiver, seventh best wide receiver.
oh yeah,
I think we're talking so negatively on him right now because the community's like really hyping him
High
up.
on him.
He
And
just
it's
came off his pro
because-
day. Everyone's like,
Yeah, and he's a
pumping him up
product of
super
maybe
high.
a bad wide receiver class, but like your grade's good. 77 is good. Like
Yeah.
I have about a 76, so it's like
Yeah.
he's
I have
good.
him
And he
closer
shows
to a
flashes.
75. So, but all whatever it is, what it is.
He shows flashes. Like I
He
think,
still would have easily been behind a lot of guys in the past few years.
yeah, I think his route run, like he has a lot of potential. He definitely needs work, like we're saying. But I do see flashes of like good route running too. Like he does work that in where I'm like, oh, okay, that looked nice. And
He's like there's guys that sink their hips, right? And
Yeah.
can burst out of sharp cuts. He's not that guy. But you could still be a good route runner without doing that.
he's pretty
And
nimble with the ball in his hands. Too.
he's definitely
Like,
nimble with the ball in his but he's more linear, like kind of upright route runner. And when he gets the ball in his hands, I was surprised by the fact that a 6'4", 220-pound guy is like trying to make and successfully
Yeah,
making
juke people out and stuff.
dudes miss in the
Yeah.
open field after he gets the ball, because you don't expect that out of a guy like that.
And I think the Arizona offense as a whole, his quarterback was bad. And their scheme, it just didn't do us any favors as like evaluating him for the next level. It was kind of tough. So, but yeah, I'm with you, Rich. Like I'm much rather take these safer running backs that we really like in this class. And 'cause I think he's going to need a year before he's producing for us.
So I'm interested to see where he ends up against, again, a nice player, but I'm interested to see the rest of the receivers where he ends up. Because like, again, I wouldn't be surprised like if somebody's like names playing out, like he's my wide receiver 4, 5. Like it wouldn't shock me.
Maybe.
Which
Yeah.
I like him.
Well, and especially because we are going to evaluate Travis Hunter as a wide receiver.
Yes.
I think he'll surpass him, even though we're not 100% sure he's going to the next level as a wide receiver. We're still evaluating.
A lot lately is coming out. I know before,
Yeah.
everything's coming out.
It
He's
is
gonna be
starting to
defense.
trend that way.
Everything's now trending. He's going to be a receiver.
I'm 100% certain I'm going to like Travis Hunter more than him
Yeah,
when I
dude.
watch him as a wide
Travis
receiver.
Hunter's a freak.
'Cause I've seen
think I'm like
snips
Luther
of it,
Burden
and
more
I-
than significantly.
And
You
I
said-
know that I like what he does more.
You said Travis Hunter shut him down. I'm like, well, yeah, he'd probably come in and shut down like CeeDee Lamb and like he's that good.
He's a very good player.
Yeah.
He's a very good player. But still, like when you have two guys go head to head like that,
Yeah, it's
that's
good
where
to
the
see.
rubber meets the road. Like how elite receivers can beat elite corners.
Yeah.
It
It helps. when you
It
have
didn't
a
have. It's one
quarterback,
game.
too.
Yeah, one game sample size.
Yeah.
Right.
But we'll see.